This episode of The Young Turks, brought to you by Thrillist.
The Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant is in massive trouble. Yesterday, we told you about reactor number 1 and reactor number 3 that had already exploded but not melted down. The difference there is a meltdown is nuclear meltdown, leaving hydrogen explosions and radiation, which is incredibly dangerous, obviously, but that the real problem was in reactor number 2, which was much closer to an actual meltdown as opposed to a simple explosion. Well, we have had an explosion in reactor number 2 now, as we had feared, and that is worrying everybody. According to one expert, we are in a full-scale panic over the meltdown that might be happening in reactor number 2. As that is happening, a 4th reactor has also exploded. So right now, the Fukushima nuclear plant is in massive trouble. To the south of the region, there are reports that radiation levels are 100 times higher than they were before. Right now, authorities are saying in the perimeter, they've already evacuated a number of people in the close area next to the plant, but in a 13-mile perimeter, they are saying, quote, "Please do not go outside. Please stay indoors. Please close windows and make your homes airtight. Don't turn on the ventilators. Please hang your laundry indoors." This is what I say. Whoever wants to stay. Whoever wants to run. Look, there are very few times to panic. Generally, it is a terrible idea. There are a few exceptions, like 9/11 and like nuclear meltdown. If you're asking me, I said this all the way back on Friday, you got to get the hell out of there. I mean, it's easy for me to say sitting here, in New York, but if you're in that area and you got relatives somewhere else, I know how hard it is. But the idea that you could ventilate your home against radiation, not step outside at all for however long you would need to stay indoors, it sounds like a terrible idea to me. It's like when a massive hurricane was coming here in the U.S., and one of the big pieces of advice that they had, and by the way, this was also applied to if we have terrorist attack, the United States government said, grab duct tape and put duct tape on your windows. They ain't gonna do it, man. This ain't a situation for duct tape. Time for whoever wants to stay. Whoever want to run. Get out of there. I mean, you've got 4 different parts of that plant exploding, including a possible nuclear meltdown. The radiation is already increased substantially. No, man. Look, our troops, USS Reagan base troops, 17 of them were on a search and rescue mission, 60 miles into the water, 100 miles away from a nuclear plant. That was yesterday. And they picked up extra levels of radiation and had to go get tested. Are you kidding me? You're within 13 miles of that thing on land, and now it's in much worse of a meltdown than it was yesterday? Oh, you got to get out of there, man. And look, sometimes the government is worried because they don't have a backup plan. They don't know where for all those people to go, so they don't know what to tell them, right? So they tell them, don't make sure you don't bring ventilation into the house and stay indoors, because they don't have a plan B. Sometimes you shouldn't listen to the government. Look, I always remember back to this lady, this amazing story I read about during 9/11. First tower gets hit. They're in the second tower. Turns out a wife and a husband are actually working in the same tower. The husband is the manager of this crew within a business there. The wife comes down and says, "We got to go," right? He says, "Honey, no, they said over the loudspeaker not to go, that it's fine, that it was just an accident in the first tower, and I'm the boss of this crew. I can't leave." She's like, "Here's what's happening. You're either leaving right now with me or we're getting a divorce." Because she was in full panic mode. She was right. They left. The plane hit that office building. Everyone else died. Sometimes, very rarely, it's time to panic. A nuclear meltdown is one of those times. You got to get out of there. Look, I'm just keeping it real. That's my job, okay? The government's to try to calm you down, even though in some cases you shouldn't be calm. My job is to tell you the truth. Okay, now there's a second aspect of this that is economic, of course. So let me tell you about the economic aspect. By the way, just to give you the updates, but you know these already. The death tolls is at least at 10,000, but I think it's going to be much higher. I mean, you saw the stories from yesterday, right? I mean, 1,000 people washed up on shore in one town, and in another town, another 1,000 people washed up on shore. We can see the video with our own eyes. Whole sections of towns get wiped out. If you were watching the MSNBC show last night at 6 o'clock, there was one of our producers came up with a good analogy. I mean, I asked her to, but she laid down all the different cities that were having trouble, how big they were, and what percentage of them got wiped out, right? One of the cities, it was nearly all wiped out. It is the size of Boulder, Colorado. Can you imagine Boulder, Colorado, the entire town being wiped out, and then there being 3, 4, 5 of those towns that are wiped out like that? It's mass devastation. So I can't imagine that there were only 10,000 people that were killed. I mean, look, here's another aspect of Japan that's very important. They had the strictest building codes in the world. Now, there's two ways to look at that. You can say, hey, you know what? When a tsunami comes, doesn't matter how strict your building code is, it just wipes out everything, right? But that's not really correct. The correct way of looking at it is, it could have been a lot worse if they didn't have those building codes. Yes, for those smaller houses, there's nothing you can do. But for the larger buildings, some of them actually did not get knocked down, not just by the tsunami, but by the earthquake. And if they didn't have strict building codes, all of those would have gotten knocked down, and the size of the devastation would have been much larger. You get a sense of that, for example, in Haiti, where there were terrible building codes. 300,000 people died. One, it hit a bigger population center, no question about that. Two, it's because of no building codes, they all collapsed, and they collapsed in on people. So preparation does matter, and sometimes strict government regulation matters. In cases like this, it saves lives, maybe a lot of lives, okay? Now, that being said, obviously this was the perfect storm in terms of earthquake, tsunami, and now, unfortunately, nuclear problems. So, but if it's only, and it's an amazing and ridiculous and unbelievable thing to say that if the casualties are only 10,000, it'll be a minor miracle, given the size of the devastation.
This episode of The Young Turks is brought to you by Thrillist.
Thrillist.com/TYT.